Hey everyone, and welcome back. My name is Colin Howard. I am your Maximo Technical Specialist here at IBM, and I've been doing Maximo for almost a decade now, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about the lockout tagout procedures within Maximo today. So there's really three key parts that I'm going to walk you all through today. The first is really how to set up lockout tagout procedures within Maximo. The second is I'll walk you through where we track these type of safety procedures on the work order record within Maximo. And then lastly is going to be more of an art of the possible demonstration of your technicians or skilled teammates who are out in the field and how they can ensure their safety through implementing lockout tagout procedures with Maximo. So that's what we're going to be walking through today. No PowerPoints. We're just going to be jumping right into Maximo. So with that, we're going to go ahead. And the first thing that I'm going to do in order to create a lockout tagout procedure is open up Maximo. And as always, the easiest way to find things in Maximo is just through our simple navigation. Here we'll type in whatever we want to look for in Maximo and it'll pop up. So here we have our lockout and tagout module within Maximo. One of the things I get asked quite a bit is, and before I show you this module, is this something that is additional add-on, additional cost? No, this is out of the box Maximo. And for those who, when you log into your environment, you may not see this, it might just be a security permissions thing. So make sure you contact your IT admin to ensure that you do have the security permissions to access this. But this is where we begin to collect a lot of those procedures that's important as part of your safety plans in order to ensure that individuals working on this piece of equipment are following the correct procedures in order to ensure that their safety. These are typically required procedures that our clients take in order to ensure that, yes, this equipment is turned off and is not operational so that our teammates can go in and to avoid potential hazards like electrocution or worse. So let's go ahead and look at one of the lockout tagout procedures that we have for a centrifugal pump. So here's the procedure that we have set up in Maximo. This includes a description, what state we want to get this piece of equipment to, which is to not have water flowing through this pump before our teammates work on this. We have the asset that this is associated with, as well as the subassemblies and the individual tasks that, as a skilled team member, I need to make sure I've done before I start conducting the work. So here we include turning off the valves, draining the valves, and closing it. Here's the sequence that we have set within these procedures to take in order to fully get this equipment to a state of no water flowing through it, as well as when we're removing and putting this equipment back into an operational status, what are the remove sequences that we need to go to? So for locking out this piece of equipment, here are the following steps, and then to get it back operational, here's the steps that there may be a different sequence in order to get this thing back up and running. So here is how we set up lockout and tagout procedures within Maximo. Very simple. And then over on the top right-hand side, we can also include attachments such as documentation or anything that we feel can support these teams in implementing. One of the questions I get all the time is, okay, so we have within our business, we probably have a couple thousand lockout tagout procedures. Are you telling me we have to manually input all of these into Maximo? The answer is absolutely not. So what our teams, as well as probably a lot of the teams you work with, are aware of is a tool within Maximo called MX Loader. This is a way for us to upload into the database all these lockout tagout procedures within a click of a button. So as long as we can take those procedures, reformat them, upload them to Maximo, the click of the button, and you're not having to manually start from scratch and add all these procedures manually. That's a question I get very often. Another one is for each of these different procedures, right? Is there a way to include attachments? Out of the box, we don't have this. This usually doesn't show up. But again, the best part of Maximo is you can configure it. So about probably 30 seconds before I started this video, I actually created an additional field here for attachments on the individual procedures. So that's not out of the box, but as always, the best thing about Maximo is our clients configure it. So, and it's super easy to configure. So that's an example of what we can do for each of these procedures. We can also include attachments. So the next part that I want to show you guys and walk you guys through is, okay, so what does this look like on a work order? So I'm going to show you how we track safety plans on the work order itself. So I actually created a work order for this asset prior to this demo. So let's hop over to our asset. This is the asset record that you all know, love, and are familiar with. Let's go back into past work order history to pull up that work order I created for this demo. And this is going to have that lockout tagout procedure that we just talked about. So on the work order record, and we have a tab called safety plans. The safety plans is how we track things such as hazards, precautions, such as, what type of hazards do we need to be on the lookout for, and what precautions like gloves or goggles or vests do we need our teams to be wearing. Hazards could be like electrocution. It could be um, things such as liquid flowing through the pipes when we're trying to work on this piece of equipment. So here, when I click on the lockout tagout, we can see the different hazards we're trying to ensure our team members are aware of and are following the correct procedures. And then down below, we have the tagout procedures as well as the lockout procedures that we attach to this work order as part of this. Another common question I get is, can we associate this with a PM or a job plan? The answer is absolutely. And that's typically where we see this applied, is at the job plan level and then having that directly attached to the PM schedule that you have for this equipment. And one thing I forgot to mention too is on those lockout tagout procedures, you can also associate them to different assets, different subassemblies. So if I didn't mention that, you can do that as well. But now that I've shown you I've shown you two things so far. I've shown you how to create a lockout tagout procedure. I've shown you where it relies on the work order. Let's kind of do a role-playing exercise with what it would look like from an execution standpoint. So a technician opening up Maximo and executing on this procedure. So to showcase this, I'm going to actually bring up my mobile device here. So I'm going to switch real quick, guys. So here is my cell phone, right? Maximo Mobile, for those of you who've seen my prior videos, you've seen this 1,000 times. But for those who haven't, Maximo Mobile has both online, offline capabilities. It's available on any platform. It's even available, the user interface I'm showing is even available on desktop. So if you don't have a mobile device, you just have a laptop, totally fine. You can do that too. So what I want to walk you through next is the mobile capabilities. So a technician opening up their work for the day, their prioritized work for the day, and ensuring that they're following the safety plan in which they're required to do before even starting the work. I will also walk you through how to make sure that they're working on the right piece of equipment using barcode scanning, which I get asked about a lot. How we can ensure that as they're completing their tasks, that they can include signatures. That's another key part of Maximo as well as having any attachments that they need at their disposal. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see me open up the Maximo mobile app. I'm on an iPhone right now, but again, any platform supports this. And the first thing that I'm going to do as a technician or skilled team member is I'm going to open up my work for the day. Here we can see we have a prioritized list of those tasks that I need to do for the day. Here's the list version. There's also a map version. For more information on that, you can look at my other videos. As we scroll down, you can see that work order that we had open. This is a 12-month preventative maintenance schedule that we have and work that we have that as a technician, I'm going to go ahead and open up. And the very first thing I'm going to see at the top is a little icon with an exclamation mark that says review the safety plan in place. This is pulling from that work order record we saw before that I showed you, that is going to say, okay, there are safety plans that you need to review. And there's two hazards that we're trying to ensure that our teammates are following to ensure their safety. They cannot move forward. And this is typically what I see a lot of clients configure in their environments. You cannot move forward with the work until you've completed this plan. And how we verify that can be a couple different ways. They can simply check the button here, yes, I've reviewed the plan, or we can also require a signature. Every company is going to do it just a little bit different. Down below, we have all the work order details, such as the material that they'll need to get for the work. They have their communication logs so that they can go back and forth with their supervisor or other teammates, being able to track their location as they go from site to site, location to location. Down below, and this is one of the ways that we can also track procedures, such as your lockout procedures. is within their tasks, we can require them to fill out all of these lockout tagout procedures we saw before, such as turning off the centrifugal pump, intake valve, so on and so forth. This is also where we can include those attachments. If extra documentation or additional assistance is needed, they will need to complete this before progressing in their work, as this is a required task. But one thing to do before even the technician can start the work that you may want to consider implementing is to ensure that the asset that we're actually reviewing the safety plan for and conducting these lockout tagout procedures is actually the right piece of equipment. So what we have here is this little barcode scanner, which I can scan. And so here's what I did, right? So I created a QR code on the right-hand side for an asset, and it's a label on that piece of equipment that is incorrect. It is for asset 11400 when the correct asset is 11430. So this is a way for us to ensure not only they're following the safety plans, but they're also conducting these safety plans on the right piece of equipment. And that's what we're seeing here. So Maximo prompts them. Again, you can put really anything in this little dialog box, but here I just put, if you, out of the box, it just says, hey, listen, you need to contact your supervisor. And as simple as that. Now, let's go ahead and say this is the correct piece of equipment. We're just going to change the QR code here for a second. Beautiful. Let's rescan. Asset confirm. So now that we've kind of done our two checks here, and we've reviewed the safety plan, let's just go ahead and say, yes, I have reviewed it. That little button in the right-hand corner is now unlocked, and we can start the work. And so now the clock is ticking, and our technician can go through and complete the work. So again, team, this was just a really quick way to walk you guys through the lockout tagout procedure capabilities in Maximo. There's several different ways that we see this set up, but I just want to get you guys an overview of not only how to set this up, but how we track it within Maximo, and then how do we execute with it. So thank you guys again for the time. Please leave in the comments any additional videos that you would like to see from me. My email is also in the details of this video. So again, thank you for the time. I look forward to future videos.